Wow, doesn't that breakfast just look fantastic? I mean, look at those fruits and those almonds and that jam. Ooh, that berry jelly. But what if we didn't have bees? Bam. Bees, no bees. Bees, no bees.
How's your coffee?
It's pretty good, actually.
That's good. Man, I'm glad that pollinators are around so we can have all this fruit and all these coffee beverages.
I really couldn't imagine life without it.
But all of the pollinators are great. But I gotta say, bees are pretty awesome. They make up about 70% of all the fruits and vegetables that we make, even though there's only 3 here.
Did you know they make up to 200 billion in agricultural revenue?
200 billion?
200
Whoa, man.
billion.
So, what's going on really?
Well, they've been dying off. They've been declining over the past about 50 years. And actually, the biggest decline has happened in the last 10 years, which have actually been the hottest year.
In 2006? Yeah, I think so. And beekeepers around the globe actually reported about 1/3 of their bees disappearing just randomly, dying randomly. After that, scientists decided to start investigating and see what's going on, and they realized that bees are just dying off, and they came up to a few conclusions on why, but they decided to name this epidemic colony collapse disorder.
You know, I heard about that. I heard that some of the reasons were migration, industrialization, and bee parasites.
Pesticides, being any flammable pesticide, aerosol pesticides are a common raid that we use around the house for hornets. And the main one on farms is neonicotinoids, and that's what we use around the globe for our agriculture. So who exactly are the pollinators? Bats are the first ones being mentioned because nobody really ever thinks about them, but they are pollinators.
As well as the beautiful hummingbird.
Of course, the honeybees.
And the butterflies.
Not as pretty, but we have moths. They are also pollinators.
And our ants are pollinators.
Either the common beetle or this exotic beetle.
And our least favorite pollinator, the wasp.
So, colony collapse disorder is actually taken into account whenever the disappearing and the depth of bees are happening. There is a queen bee, but there are no bees. There is still plenty of food available, and there are still remaining nurse bees for the unhatched larvae that are still in broods. So, the scientists expect that there are multiple reasons, but the 3 main ones that often occur are because of pesticides, and these happen in our everyday garden things like anything made by Bayer, such as Bayer Advanced 3-in-1 Insect Disease and Mite Control, any of the other advanced Bayer products. There's also Marathon, Monterey Once a Year Insect Control. Remember how I mentioned how most people don't realize that bats are pollinators? Well, they as well are experiencing a population decline. Bats experience white nose syndrome, being named literally after what it is, just this white fuzz that's on their face, and it has killed over 1 million bats in the northeastern United States. Can you guess what we grow in the northeastern United States? Can you? It's corn and soybeans. They are the 2 biggest that we dump pesticides on, like nothing, and then we just eat them nonchalantly, no big deal. And the most common active ingredient that farmers use in these pesticides are neonicotinoids. Basically what happens is whenever our friendly bee goes over to pick up some pollen from these plants, or just to land on them for fun, they pick up these neonicotinoids on their fur. Their fuzzy fur really does not help at all. They take it back with them to the hive and it spreads around, and ultimately it leads to a bee having a weakened immune system, a mass confusion within the hive, and disorientation, along with eventually leading to death. That's not fun at all. Pesticides are a bummer. Another reason is because of parasites. There's 2 kinds of parasites that are pretty big. There's the Nosoma cerana and the varroa mite.
So here's parasites. Many beekeepers have agreed that Nosema soranae and the Varroa destructor are serious threats to pollinators globally. Nosema is in the fungi kingdom and can be spread by fungicides to crops. These parasites attach themselves to the pollinators and weaken their immune systems. This causes nosmosis and eventually kills them off. The Varroa isn't much different. They're a mite parasite and attach to honeybees before birth and spread by bees touching one another. The Varroa sucks the bee's blood, which eventually causes the acute bee paralysis virus, which can be lethal, or another virus being deformed wings. It can also weaken the immune systems.
And the other kind of, I guess, disappearance of bees would happen whenever they migrate over season because it's wintertime, but they just get too cold or there's not enough resources due to industrialization done by humans because we kind of destroy everything and then take it over for ourselves.
So here's the deal with industrialization of agriculture. Pollinators, managed or wild, cannot escape massive impacts of industrial agriculture. Bees are suffering from the destruction of natural habitat and the harmful effects of new intensive agricultural practices. Fragmentation of natural and semi-natural habitats, or bee farms, and expansion of monocultures is severely impacting pollinators' livelihoods. Land is not sustainable, and bumblebees, as well as other pollinators, are dying off.
So what would really happen if all the bees just disappeared? What would we really lose?
Wow! Look at all my delicious pollinated food!
Now let's just take the bees out of the picture.
Oh no! All of my good breakfast is gone. What am I supposed to do? Put maple syrup on my pepper and my Italian sausages?
Better take that lemonade away too. Can't have that.
Prunes,
All of the legumes family, including pinto beans and black beans,
avocados,
apricots,
nectarines,
peaches,
boysenberries,
loganberries,
blueberries,
pears,
cranberries,
raspberries,
strawberries,
kiwis,
cherries,
all of the citrus family, including limes and grapefruits,
grapes,
sunflowers,
cotton.
alfalfa,
We would lose all of our coffee, and we have all seen what would happen when we switch over to tea. Let that sink in now.
sugar beets,
We would lose all of the squash family, including pumpkins.
all of our onions,
All of the olives, so no more fancy wine.
macadamia nuts,
Plums,
asparagus,
cauliflower,
soybeans,
peanut butter,
celery,
cucumbers,
cantaloupes,
honeydew,
watermelons,
broccoli,
carrots.
and almonds. Now, almonds are extremely important. Okay, so take this scenario for example. We have an almond tree, and these are, well, pollinated almonds because we have our friendly bees. So, what do these almonds do exactly? Well, many farms of our agriculture actually use, well, the almonds of the tree to feed their cows and their chickens. So, what would happen if we took our bees and just kind of put a giant X through them? Well, that would basically mean that we would kind of just have to flick away these almonds. Just do that. We don't need any of those. We just have a dead tree, and all of our bees would just be dead. All of our chickens, they would slowly diminish. We would find other ways to feed them, and same thing for our cows. But what would this actually lead to? Well, this would lead to a giant shortage of eggs and poultry, along with a bunch of beef, dairy, and, well, cheese. So we can just say goodbye to most of that.
So are we screwed? Like, is that it? Can we not do anything to help the bees out?
Well, actually, I've heard of a lot of things that we can do.
Well, you know, let me have it here. Earful.
Well, first off, we can plant native pollinating flowers in public places.
So, basically, like parks, and if we get permission from business owners, we could just plant them out there.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I didn't know that would help. So, would having a garden at your own house help?
That would help so much.
How?
Have a garden, plant flowers, plant your fruits and vegetables.
Fruits and vegetables, you know, not getting any of those GMOs and any of those pesticides that they use without me knowing.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
No pesticides. Try to steer clear of pesticides, especially rain. That's horrible for the bees.
Also Terminax, I've heard of that as well. Also, if you do want to help out,
If you see a hive in public, don't mess with it. Leave it alone. Hives only last about a season.
plus they'll attack you. But if you want to make bees a hive or a house, then make them a bee block. Get a piece of wood, drill some holes through it, and put some plastic tubing in it so that you can just take them out when you're going to clean them, and put a board underneath all that, and they will go in there and use it as a home. And they will move out during the winter and come back next season. While they're doing that, you can clean them out. Also, if you see any mysterious deaths of bees, multiple bees, assuming, not if you just decide to smash one because you're a jerk. If you see a bunch of bees dead, go to EPA.com and report the amount of bees that you see dead, or a rough estimate, or just a picture. That would work out too. But other than that, save the bees!
Spread the word. Save the bees.
Save the bees!